Christopher Hall.
Hello, Grace Campbell.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to Late to the Party.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's the sound of our ice in our Côte de Provence bottle of rosé.
Oui, oui.
Oui, oui. We are having a nice glass of rosé, and I hope if you're listening at home, you are too, even if it's 7 a.m.
If not, pause this podcast and go and crack open a bottle.
Go and get a lovely... Oh, that's lovely. Oh my God, that's so nice.
Really nice.
Not sponsored, but wish it was. Welcome to my podcast, Late to the Party.
Thanks for having me.
I have so many, so many sort of memories that we will be able to sort of talk about. But first, I want to ask you some questions, as though we aren't, as though I'm interviewing you.
Okay, fine.
What would be your go-to plausible excuse for being late to a party? Because you are sometimes late, as am I. We both have an illness.
Yeah, we have an illness.
We have
and
the shared
sometimes
illness.
It works perfectly because we end up arriving on time. But it's our
we will be late to meet each other, but we'll both be late. I would say on average by half an hour is our usual sort of late. And then actually what happens is you will come to my house for us to be like filming something or like just hanging out, and you'll be late. And then, but even though you're half an hour late, whenever Chris gets to my house, I'm in the shower.
Always. And I'm like...
Always open the door naked, dripping with water, in a towel, saying, I'm so sorry, I'm going to have to blow dry my hair.
yeah. Or I'm walking up your street and you're like, how close are you?
How close you do I have time to shower?
And you're like, okay, fine. When you get here, I still need to shower. But that's kind of my excuse. I am historically always late. And... historically, when I was at university, our house, where we lived, all our friends were in the same housing complex, and our house was the closest to town. So the group would assemble on the way through everyone's houses and then get to our house and then leave.
So they're herding everyone, and
exactly.
then you're the last pickup.
And I would always, my friend Katie always says, whenever she came round, she'd come up to my room and I was wrapped in a towel with a head towel turban on Facebook, and she'd always be like, I knew you'd still be in a towel on Facebook. But then I'd jump into action
quite fast.
Yeah.
But your excuse for being late is, I'm so sorry, I'm late. I was just in a towel on Facebook.
Yeah. I was just checking in.
I was just checking online.
I was just checking up on everything that's going on there. Yeah, that was obviously that. I mean, I don't go on obviously, not on Facebook as much. That was obviously a while ago. What would be my excuse now?
I was filming a video. Towel on TikTok.
Yeah, in a towel on TikTok. Yeah, it's not that. It's not that different, is it? What have I evolved to?
What would you define your sort of socializing energy persona as?
Ooh, I love socializing. What would my persona?
As in, would you say you are the person who's leading the fun, or would you say the person who's following the fun?
So plans arrangement wise, I honestly don't mind what we do. Follower.
Absolutely, we'll go to a cemetery.
If all the gang is there, I'm there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You are very chill. I would say you're a very chill plan-making
person. I feel just I will always fall in line, or I will always just enjoy where we're going, unless pretty much. And then when I'm there, I feel I like keeping the conversation going. I can be maybe the chatty Cathy of the table. Yeah.
Can I ask you, right? So one of my favorite facts about you. Can we talk about when you were working on cruise ship?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
No, you cannot. That is strictly
under embargo. There's actually a super injunction on me and cruise ships.
I'm in a legal
battle with Virgin,
who still haven't invited me
for I'm actually going back and forth with P&O cruise.
Virgin Voyages. Sorry.
Yeah.
Where's the influencer holiday, my love?
Yeah, it's so
Get
true.
Us on there.
We would love to do that.
We would love to do that.
Tyler would come, +1.
Everyone's doing them right now.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, everyone apart from these two clowns on this couch. Absolutely. You're correct in saying that everyone is on a Virgin Voyages cruise.
Richard,
but with love and respect, Virgin Voyages, we would
absolutely love respect and kindness a cruise.
We would love.
But I've never been on a cruise. So, Chris, you worked as a dancer on cruises.
Yeah.
You were on one cruise for a whole year.
Almost. Yeah.
And you went all around the world, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you were telling me, and then you can tell your stories, because this blew my mind, right? You were just telling me we were driving somewhere, and I was like, A, like, how did I not know this about you? But also B, like, how did you live on a cruise for a year? And you told me that on these cruises, they're so big that the staff and the, like, you know, performers and everyone have their own nightclubs.
Yeah.
That's how big they were.
Yeah.
And what was the crack at those nightclubs?
So,
like, what happened?
So on my first ship, there was
now he's absolutely Captain Hook.
Sorry. On my first voyage, on my first ship, that was quite a small one, and it's quite old school.
What was the clientele of that ship like?
Adult only, and very like experienced cruisers. So like maturely aged, who like love like on
old
their,
people.
Yes, and then on their 10th, 11th,
maturely aged. I love that.
On their 10th, 11th, 12th cruise.
Fine, okay.
And like part of the Diamond Members Club and all that kind of stuff. And then on that, different cruises have different setups like for the crew. So the like entertainment team have different privileges on different ships. So on my first one, we were like officer status. So there's like officers, which were the people who steer the ship. Like,
so you are Captain Hook then?
I was Captain Hook.
So wait, you were steering the ship?
No. We're the same level. We're the same like level. Like, so we had this one bar, the officers' bar, which like looking back, like you're so starved for like anything to do. Like we'd be like, woo, it's called the wardie. It's called the officers' ward. And you'd be like, we're going to the wardie tonight. And it is honestly, and with respect to this room, it's this room.
Right.
It's just
just to describe for people listening, we're in quite a small room.
Just a small room.
Like,
just a room.
With respect, it's a great, lovely, chic room.
It's perfect.
But it's just this room.
Yeah, and then there was like
nothing big. There's nothing big or grand.
No, and then
this is quite chic.
Then there'd be a bar in the corner. So it's
how many
it's kind
people?
Of pub vibes. It's kind of like pub vibe, but it's honestly a room. And then so there's like for like there's maybe like 100-ish people that like have access to that bar. But like you'd go so hard in that bar because like it was your only.
Well, it's also, does it feel okay? It's a bit like how I imagine, you know, when you go on group holidays and everything feels so much more intense because you're all together all of the time. Same with being at festivals. When you're on these ships, as you call them, which I love, when you're on the ship, does it feel like you are all family and have known each other forever?
Yeah, you get so close to people.
Did a lot of drama happen?
Yes.
Below deck sort of
below
stuff.
deck style. Yeah. And lots of romances and breakups and drama.
And then you have to be stuck with them on the ship.
Yeah, that's what's tough if you like get involved with someone. But yeah, you go so hard. And then on my second ship, it was much bigger, and you could go like to passenger area for work, obviously, but if you didn't want to, like the crew area was so big, you just could actually live your whole life in the crew area.
See, this is what's kind of blowing my mind because it's like a whole city.
Yeah, you're like the borrowers.
How old were you?
On my first ship, I turned 22, and then on my second one, I just turned 24.
Right, okay, so you were like actually sort of living it up.
Yeah. If you have
no
like,
fear of consequences.
No, and if you have like nothing, like it is such a fun life. If you've like not got like a partner or something to like be, if you can just go and immerse yourself and be there, it's like so fun.
Because I feel like your career and you're very multifaceted, and also you're someone who, for absolute great reason, is very beloved by a lot of people. A lot of people really love you, including myself. But you have had a really vast career, because to go from being a dancer on these ships to then doing stand-up comedy, which is it's just a different world. It's performing, which is the same thing, but they're completely different worlds. Like those people on those cruise ships would never be at your shows now.
What in the audience?
The punters on those, the elderly people.
No,
so the mature, experienced cruisers would never be at your shows now. No. It feels like a sort of different demographic completely.
Yeah.
But do you feel like because of what you do on the internet, especially, is you get to meet like all of these insane pop stars, right?
Yeah.
Like when you and Elizabeth, your sister, do your brilliant backing dancer videos, you get to meet some of the people that like I just would be kind of terrified to meet.
Yeah.
Who was the person that you've done the backing dancer videos with that you were the most scared to meet? Who were you
the most scared?
Who was the first one that you did?
We did
one
the
with?
Jonas Brothers first, which is mental. And then the first few, like, so Jonas Brothers were just amazing, but I feel like they're quite like with it, like
they also grew up
TikTok-y.
Yes,
Like they know they know what they're getting themselves in for, and they're like I think are they like my age,
Pretty
like early
much,
30s.
yeah.
And then the next two we did were Gwen Stefani and Shania Twain, who are just like next level.
And what were they
absolute
like?
legends. So lovely, so amazing. But like they're just icons. Like, and they're just like do you know what I mean? They're like stratospheric. Like, and I've known them since I was like 4 or 5. Do you know what I mean? So that was like mental.
Were you terrified?
Yeah, and I also like didn't register it was happening, and then like I came out, especially after Gwen Stefani, I like sat down on the curb and just like had a moment, and then like afterwards me and Elizabeth came out of Shania Twain, and I was just like, I just need to like stand here for like the next 5 minutes and just like breathe.
When you started doing those videos, because those videos, I will say, like, they're insane. It's insane how many people I know will say, I can't believe you're friends with him. And it's like, okay, but I'm also, someone to be friends with.
Exactly.
It's like, let's not reduce me just to who I'm friends with. Like, why don't we talk about, like, me
your achievements?
as well?
Absolutely.
No, but they're kind of stratospheric. Like, you get stopped wherever we go about them.
Yeah.
Which you didn't predict when you started them, I assume?
All. No, I didn't. No, there's no way. Yeah, we had no.
And also,
plan
we've been
for
friends for the whole thing. That's the thing. So I remember when you started doing them, and then suddenly they started getting like so many views, and suddenly you were doing them with all of these famous people.
Yeah,
and it's like, whoa.
What even was that? Yeah, it's just been absolutely bonkers, and it like continues to be even more nuts.
What would be your general consensus of? You don't have to be horrible about anyone, but of the like pop stars in general.
All I think sometimes you meet someone and they're they can like disarm you about how down to earth they are, and some people are just have more of like a famous
vibe
aura about them, which is totally fine either way. But like sometimes you're like, oh, you're really famous, and you get that vibe, and then sometimes people are like, hey, what's up, and like and you just feel very calm around them.
Because we met Simon Cowell this week. And yeah, it's just. Do you know what? Because Chris has actually been allowed to name drop so much in the last 10 minutes, and I haven't even been allowed to but once.
God willing,
so
you
I
will
would say
now.
We met Simon Cowell this week, and he was like that. I thought he was like a bit of a prick because of his like persona.
Yeah,
he was so unbelievably nice and interested in both of us.
Yeah, you were talking about your pets together,
my dogs. He was asking me all about Eddie.
His
my mental health,
anxiety.
Yeah, he said, "How are you?" And I said, "I'm going to be honest, Simon." I sounded like I was in Gavin and Stacey there. I'm going to be honest, Simon. I'm not doing very well at the moment. I'm feeling very sort of down, and I kind of want to get off the roller coaster.
Yeah.
And then he said, "Get rid of your phone."
Yeah.
And I said, "I know, but it's a catch-22. Like, I'm a comedian. I need the internet." And he was like, "I haven't had a phone for 8 years, and it's completely changed my life." And I said,
"That's that's an amazing thing for you to say, Simon Cowell."
No, but I said, "But how do people reach you?" And he said, "If they need to reach me, they'll find a way."
Which,
and I was like, I want to do anything to get to that point in my life where if somebody needs to reach me, they'll find a way. I won't be accessible. Whether it's by carrier pigeon or they stalk me, or they break me down.
To be honest, now we know where he lives.
Well, exactly. We can get to him.
Simon, we can find you whenever we need you. Thank God.
But I think it's always very refreshing when someone is just like nice and not a prick, I guess,
Yeah.
And I think the more famous you get, you'll always be someone that people will always just think is very nice, because you are very also disarming, and it's hard to get you to say bad stuff about people, is what I will say.
only in the
I'm breaking you down.
Only in the close, only in the circle of truth.
So let's go back to the party stuff.
Oh yeah, the point of the podcast.
Yeah.
What podcast are we on?
Yeah. Okay, when you go to a party, are you someone who will dance? At a party?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's because you can dance.
I can dance.
Because you've got the privilege of being a good dancer.
Can dance, so must show everyone. And then... but then also, I remember, God, when I was younger, like we would do like routines, like we would do like full choreography, like either from the music videos or like that we'd like learned in class. And like I remember like on the ship, I was out in we had an overnight in New Orleans, and like we'd been so like you are like bottled up like for months. Then we had an overnight in New Orleans, and me and my friends Carl and Nick went to like the gay bars, and I had like I remember this is why this memory's come up to me. I had like a dance off with like just a stranger. Like, come on, how embarrassing.
I hope that like one day that video will circulate of like you having a dance off with an 87-year-old man in a bar in New Orleans who was actually in a wheelchair. And you're there like, I'm better.
I'm better than you. I win the dance off. But no, definitely a dancer at a party. If it's good music though.
Do you get socially anxious?
Are you joking? No, when you came up to Edinburgh last year and you came and guested on my show and you were like, how are you doing? And I was like professionally, like last year Edinburgh went really well, and you were like, you must be so happy. And I was like, I have never been more anxious, and I think everything is really stealing my joy. And you literally went, can't relate. Whereas you were like, you should be like enjoying every moment of this. And
yeah, but I think I'm the same. We're both very anxious people, because I think when things are going well, you try and find ways to attack them, and you almost get this feeling of like, why is this happening now? When's it going to end?
Why is it happening to me?
Permanent. It just seems like things are going well and then they might end. So I think your anxiety about stuff is sweet and endearing, and you know, it's not deserved, but
and I think we're hard workers, and we just want everything we do to be of a certain level and it be good. So like you're just always like, this is good, but like there's no like rest for me when it comes to like work. It's always like, how can I sustain? Like, it's not even necessarily like going up and up and up. Obviously, I love that trajectory is obviously wonderful, but like it's like it's just sustaining. Like I would just love always to like. Now I'm like a full-time like artist.
Okay.
Creator, creative.
Okay, artist.
I would just love it to sustain.
But
so like I just always am like, whenever like everything's going well, I'm like, well.
But that's anxiety. It's like whenever things are going well for me, my anxiety
Something's
goes,
gonna wrong.
You're dying.
Yeah.
And it fixates on a part of my body, and often I make up feelings and go to the doctors and I'm like, I can feel it, I'm dying.
Yeah.
Because my mind can't really rest if things are going well, because I'm not comfortable in safety really. Like I feel like I'm my most comfortable, and what I'm used to is a lack of safety and a lack of stability, and it's something that I'm definitely trying to work on, which you've had to sustain a lot. You had to sustain a lot of hypochondria in the time.
I was actually just about to say, in the time that we've been
every
friends,
time you come to my house, I say I have cancer. Every time.
I think you've had about 6 cancer scares since I've known you. But thank God,
well,
we're fine.
Yeah, but I think.
But no, social anxiety for sure.
But with the social anxiety thing, do you think that? How do you curb social anxiety? Because something that I think surprising about me is how anxious I get when I go to social situations, because people always think that I am like really confident and having the best time because I'm very good at pretending. But I have really bad social anxiety, especially if I'm around new people. What do? Do you ever turn to like having a few drinks to like relax? Like, what's your vibe at like a party that you're nervous about?
Just one thing that is just so interesting, because observing you, I always think, God, I would wish I could do what Grace does in these social situations, because I think you mask that and go like, hi, I'm Grace, and you start things, whereas I will be still and quiet and just till I warm up. And at my age now, I'm like, at my age, but like in my 30s, I'm like, I know that I will warm up, and I almost know that like if I'm like around people, I'm like, I know that at some point we will be friends. Like if there's someone that I think I see across the room, I'm like, I love your vibe and I know we'll connect. I'll just be quiet the first 3 times we bump into each other, and then I'll warm up, and that'll be fine. And it's nice
to just be comfortable in that, and not, because sometimes we walk away from situations and think, oh, I wish I was this or I wish I was that. But then knowing that you will warm up to someone, then you don't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
You can sort of exist in it and not like berate yourself.
I know. Sometimes I wish I could be more I literally marvel at people that go like, hey, I'm Chris, how are you? Like, what are you working on? What are you doing? But I just can't do that.
Yeah, I also think it's I don't know which is, because the thing about me is that only comes from a place of like, and it is, sometimes I'm not pretending, but like, for example, when we went to Simon Cowell's house, I was having one of the worst days of my life.
Yeah.
My mental health was so bad. And then it's like I have this almost serial killer switch in my head, which is kind of scary like, to me, that I can have this capacity of I can just turn something, and whatever I've been feeling for however long I need to do it, and it can't be too long, it can be like max an hour, I will just act like I'm the most confident, most amazing person in the world, and then I will go into the toilet. I kept going to the toilet to cry at Simon Cowell's house.
Yeah, fuck.
And the toilet smelled so good. It smelled so much of dip tea.
It was stifling, the dip tea. Stifling in a gorgeous way.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
So I think the social anxiety thing is really interesting. So I really wanted to talk to you about it, because everyone else that's come on this podcast so far hasn't really got that. And I know that you do, and I know that I do. And I think it's something that a lot of people do suffer with, because no matter the kind of social situations you're going to, it's really overwhelming suddenly being perceived by new people.
Yeah. And I think we meet a lot of people all the time. Like we're meeting people at gigs, we're meeting people at you're just in front of new faces all the time, and like there's been a few people in like the last few years, there's like yourself, like people like yourself and like Alice and everything, that Alice, who just gets mentioned whenever we're talking,
Alice Bryan,
like,
who I have to say has completely changed our lives.
But like I feel like when we met, we were like, I think we were a bit like not shy of each other, but we were just like, we were at a gig and we were like, took our time.
We were at a gig, and the green room
was honestly, respectfully to the green room.
Respectfully to that tiny cardboard box that's got 4 wine glasses in it. That's the size of the room that we were in. Okay.
Yeah.
It was so small, and I walked into this tiny little cupboard, and you were on stage, and then I watched you, and you were incredible, and I'd followed you on Instagram, and your stand up was just incredible, and you had so many good jokes, and I was like, oh my god, I need to be friends with this guy. He's so funny. But then we didn't really speak, so we were in this tiny little cupboard. And then I think I messaged or whatever.
Yeah.
And then that's how we became friends, which is a very nice way for comedians to meet, because comedy is really intimidating.
Yeah.
And especially for women and for gay people, a lot of the gigs that we do are really, really straight male dominated.
Yeah.
And so it's nice when you meet like
someone that you like,
girls or queer people, to be like, let's hang out and bitch about all of the men.
Yeah, perfect.
Which we do.
Which we enjoy doing. But no, I think like, you're meeting lots of people all the time, and you kind of are like, I wish I could show like X, Y, and Z these people like my like cool chilled self, because then like we would click and it would just all be fine. But like sometimes I'm just like, let me just like ride this out, let me like do the work.
It's a bit like dating, when you start dating someone new, and like the first time you have sex, you're like, I'm never seeing you again. That was terrible. And then you're like, no, I'll try again. And then actually the next time you try, you're like, actually, that was really good.
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't just click like that straight away. You need to sort of get comfortable with people. Are you someone who likes to host?
Ooh, yes. I wouldn't say I am like the best at it. When people are like, I've like prepared this, and this, and I have all these things. But I do like having toast. I don't have like a very hostable abode. Like where I live isn't the best social space, but whenever I do, I enjoy it. You're
very good at hosting show. You're very, very good MC. You're very good at hosting audiences. And at talking to people in that capacity.
It's so mad, isn't it? That I can talk to strangers when I'm on stage.
And they're not in a party.
My mum and dad find it crazy. They're like, I don't understand how
because were you really shy?
Yeah. So then I'd like want to go dancing, and I'd want to do this, and like on my own terms, I'd like perform. Like, do you remember Alistair McGowan's Big Impression? It was like an impression show.
Do you remember that, Tyler?
So he was like an impressionist, and he had a show on BBC One. it was on Fridays, and like I would learn all the impressions. I'd learn the whole script, like tape it and watch it all, and then like on my terms perform it, and like on my terms would perform a dance for everyone. But then if mum and dad ever went, do your impression for like so and so, I'd like
completely freak out
and not want to do it, and they'd be like, I don't understand why like you can't. Yeah, you want to be a dancer, or you know, want to be a performer, but like you won't do it like for Nan or like whatever. But I always wanted it to be on my terms, and I think it's so funny that I could get on stage and like, but it's a performance, isn't it?
Because it is on your terms, and also because it's in. To an extent, I mean, performing isn't in your control because you don't know how things are going to go, but you've decided to do it, and you've invited these people to come, and you've known that they're coming, and so I think it is more on your terms than if we were walking along the street and then 15 people came up to us and were like, "Tell me a joke."
You'd be like, "It's not the time."
Yeah. But do you think like with comedy and with, I guess, the environments that you're in a lot, do you find that it's hard to sort of separate like socializing with also performing? And do you ever feel like after a show you want to like go out and drink quite a lot?
Definitely used to when I started. I was like, that was so much fun. You're on such a high. If it's gone like fine to well, you're on a high. Only if it's like after that gig we did in Brighton, when I actually would have walked into the sea. And do you remember do you remember we were having a drink and like you guys were talking and I just was like, that was the worst 15 minutes of my life, and you guys just like let me say it and then carried on having your conversation.
No, but I
couldn't get it. I literally was like, sorry, I just have to acknowledge that was the worst gig I've ever done in my life.
The thing is, what I will say about that show is, first of all, we got set off on a bit of a wrong foot because I ended up getting in a fight with one of the performers in the green room, and you didn't really know what was going on because you didn't know what we were arguing, and suddenly I went from 0 to 100 with this man, which sometimes I do. I have done a lot of anger management, but sometimes I can go from and I was being as calm as I could be in that situation, but you just had no idea what was going on. I think that was unsettling. I was very unsettled by that. Then the audience was a lot of middle-aged men, is what I will say, and I think you were the first act, and it was just,
and it's also.
But you were great, and I was really laughing at everything that you were saying.
Yeah, I told you, whenever I hear, if no one is laughing, but I hear Grace go, ha ha, then I'm like, perfect. That's actually all I need. Yeah. But it did feel like the longest 15 minutes of my life. And then, so what were we saying? Oh, so usually
after that, it's the sort of like, I've done shows where you want to just jump off a bridge. You do.
Just like, and like, there's like nothing you can do apart from just like ride out that kind of like, I don't even know what it's like. It's like a depletion of like.
I hate to keep going back to like date analogies, but it's a bit like when you go on a really bad day and say, you know,
and you've been looking forward to it,
and you also want to have hope in dating, and then you leave and you're like, you need to just be able to sort of put it to bed and put it in the bin and not ever think about it again. I always think that about bad gigs. Like, you're a good comic, so you don't need to dwell on bad gigs because we all have bad gigs. I've seen loads of people just completely bomb. It's just about that process of being able to be like, okay, well, I'm not gonna wake up tomorrow feeling shit about it. Did you wake up the next day feeling shit about it?
No, it was fine. But you know what? It's just like it's that kind of like overarching like you're totally fine. Like, you can brush it off. Bad gigs. Like, you know, not bad gigs all the time, but like you can some of them go well. And then it's just that one that, you know, it's like a collision, like. And you're just like, this is the one that's like gotten through my like armor. I remember when I was auditioning, when I was like dancing and doing theatre, like you have like no's, like 9 out of 10 of your auditions are like a no. And you just like shake it off, brush it off. And then I remember doing this audition, and it was for something that would have been like financially fine, not that great on my CV, but it would have just been like something to do. And like I was like, great, like I had like other bits and bobs that I was like, that were like I was doing, and I was like, this would just be fine. And I went, and I remember like we'd done the dancing, and then we went to the singing, and like out of like the 8 people, I was like the only person that got cut after singing. So then you have to go like, amazing.
Oh, that is so brutal.
Yeah.
That is so brutal.
I know,
In
nuts.
front, it's like X Factor.
Yeah.
It's like when they're like,
So they were like,
Chris, you can go home. Oh
yeah.
my God.
Well, no, they call out everyone's name who's staying, and then they didn't call mine. And I like looked around and I was like, LOL, that's just me then. And like I left, and I remember it was at Fulham Broadway, and I sat on the tube at Fulham Broadway, and I remember almost feeling like the chair was like dragging me to I felt like I sat on the chair and I just felt my chest just I'd like kept it together, and like I felt like my whole body like crumple, and I was like and that one wasn't even like an important audition, but like you'd been fine, and then you sit on the one and you're like, woof.
It's like when you get one horrible. Well, do you want to say the comment that you got on? Can you say the comment that you got on your video, or the other one, which you replied kisses to? So you got a comment. What was it?
I've had 2 hilarioso comments on my social media in the last week. One person said, oh my God. Also, like the comments on our background singers are like, they are 99% of the time really, really supportive. But like people say like, oh, this is getting old, or like this, that, whatever. People also like to say like, oh, I bet these people use pronouns, and it's like, so do you. So does everyone.
Sorry. Oh my God.
That is
epic.
You're so right.
Yeah.
We use pronouns. So do you prick. But then somebody was like, oh my God, this is such a waste of time. The lengths that people will go to not go to work.
The lengths that people will go to not go to work, I want on a t-shirt.
I know. Yeah.
That is the tagline of my whole life. Yeah. The lengths I've gone to my whole life to never have a job is crazy. Like, I've done everything and anything to never work. Literally, I just hang out.
Yeah, just
like hanging out
and see what happens.
I just want to hang out and we'll just see what the vibe goes. We'll just see where it ends up.
I'm just really concentrating on the vibes right now. And then other lol comment was, how is he how is he sort of plus size but also sort of fit? Lol. Which I don't know.
Have you ever gotten with someone who slid into your DMs who was like a random fan? That's a random question. I don't know why I asked that, but I just thought of that because I thought I would maybe reply to that person and be like, okay, come on then.
Yes.
Let's go. You have?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how was it?
We went out for a year.
Okay, so well.
It went well.
It went well.
Yeah.
Who slid into who? He slid into yours?
He slid into mine.
Wow.
Yeah.
And was he a fan?
No.
No. Okay.
He'd followed,
right,
but wasn't like gushing fan.
Fine.
Of
okay.
Of my
your
work.
Artistry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I will eat my words.
Check those requests.
But then sometimes
did you text that guy from that Brighton gig?
No, I didn't. Because he lives in Brighton. So I was like, but no, it started happening a lot recently where I've done gigs. And I think it's because I've started doing much more comedy clubs, and I'll do a gig and then like I'll fly out with someone in the audience, then they'll DM me afterwards and I'll go, I could like, there was this one guy at one show and he was really hot, but I was a bit like, I don't know, like the power dynamic is a bit weird because you've just watched me on stage and then I'm going to meet you and I'm not going to be that persona because I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to want to talk about my trauma.
Yeah.
And like my exes.
Yeah.
And then I just don't know if I'm going to match what you're expecting. What is your dream party or social situation?
Oh, my dream
like
party.
Build a bear for a party.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. I'm getting a long picnic table. Like a long table with benches, but I'm just gonna like stream of consciousness.
Doing some mediuming here.
Yeah,
you've got other wild powers coming into your head.
So it's like outside, sunny. I'm getting long picnic table. So maybe it's a beer garden.
Yeah.
A really nice beer garden.
But private.
private. Yeah, not
no, basically no civilians.
No.
Yeah.
just us.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm there. Great.
You're there. Oh fuck no! I would fucking love it to be abroad.
Yeah.
So maybe not a bench table.
A group holiday.
A group holiday is just amazing, isn't it?
Table.
Yeah.
In a vineyard.
A vineyard that then in Italy or Spain
or France.
That then. I love having a cocktail and then getting wine drunk at dinner. Like I like being at dinner drunk, like not wasted, but you've had like one drink. Like
before
not
dinner.
Too many at dinner, but you're like
not
you're not fucked, but you're at the table like you're like just I better have one more slice of bread and you're like just like laughing because like you shouldn't really be this drunk at dinner. Like we're going for drinks after, but I love being like one glass of wine too many at dinner. I think that's amazing.
It's you're excitable.
Yeah, just excitable.
Yeah. And then what happens is we'll get to the next place and I'll start crying about my abortion and you'll have to sit and hear me say the same things that I've said to you for 9 months now.
Which
as you and Alice just go, I know, he's a cunt.
He's a cunt. But we'll listen to it because
I know.
I would listen to it for the next 12
no,
years.
I know. So sorry, it's you're saying your dream social setup is kind of a group of friends.
A group of friends,
it's
a
not
drunk
actually a party,
dinner.
It's like a drunk dinner.
A drunk dinner, and then you can go out afterwards. But I love going out in outside of London.
Yeah.
There's such an abandon when you're like out in Manchester, out in Birmingham, out in like Edinburgh, like Bristol, like you just feel like this is like a one-time thing. And also like the clubs and bars I think are just so much more fun because it's just like
the culture's different.
Yeah.
And then you go to Europe and you're like, God, like why don't we all just live here? Because like honestly a glass of rosé in Marseille is like 50p.
Yeah.
And everybody is allowed to smoke inside. It's amazing.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's absolutely dreamy.
Yeah. I love a house party though as well.
You do?
Love a house party.
I do, but I fear that like I miss house parties because I think we're in a weird age now, which is like we're slightly mid. I think we'll have house parties when we're a bit older, when everyone's got like buff houses.
Yeah.
Like definitely when I'm like in my sort of not forever home, but my like when I'm 40 house, I will have amazing parties and I'll have like a bar and a chef and then someone to come and clean it the next day. But I think we're in a weird phase now. I haven't been to a house party for so long.
No. We had one at New Year. New Year, like a New Year house party is perfect. Would always want to be
and
inside.
So who is your ideal +1? Say if you were invited to an event which you were maybe a bit socially anxious about, who would you want to take to make it a bit easier?
So someone who's jumped to mind, I went travelling with this friend as well, my friend Sophie. She is just the perfect person to go, hey, I'm Sophie and this is Chris.
Love.
What are you doing?
Love.
Like she's just like so good at doing that.
It's kind of what you need.
Just like someone, and then as soon as someone has broken that ice, I can chill. But yeah, so she's a really good +1. Funny story about that, right? So I got invited on like an influencer holiday to Malta, and Sophie at the time was, I think she was between jobs maybe. So I was like, oh, do you want to come to like Malta with me for 4 days? Like, fine. And again, like it's like going on holiday with like 4 other influencers and their +1s. Like I was like, I'm not going to talk to these people. It was like the Monday. I was like, I won't talk to them until at least the Wednesday. Will just be mute.
You have to warm up.
I'll just be mute. And I was like, Sophie can come because Sophie will be she'll just be, hey, I'm Sophie. Who are you? And she just doesn't have that embarrassment gene. And then she actually went to Glastonbury and then she was poorly after Glastonbury and she called me on the morning and she was like, I'm so sorry, I'm so ill, I can't come. And she even said, and I know how bad this is going to be for you. She said, I'm so ill. I think it was like a couple of years ago. So like
COVID.
Everyone was, I didn't want to bring up that silly word.
COVID.
But she literally was like, and she said, and I know that you've invited me to be your
the buffer. I am the buffer. And how did you cope?
I didn't speak for the first couple of days and then warmed up and made some friends in a couple of days.
That's good.
But I like got off the plane and I was like, I just won't speak to these. I won't be able to speak to these people. And at some point, like it will click and like we'll have a joke about something and I'll relax. but it just won't happen straight away.
It's an interesting thing. I feel like that's a very I think lots of people are like that, and
also
it's
everyone
kind of
else
normal.
Yeah.
You know, especially in a sort of intense, intimate situation like that.
Yeah.
But then what are you like on dates? On like a first date, would you be shy?
No, I think that's because it's like one other person, and the whole point of this is for us to talk. Like, the whole point is that we meet in the middle somewhere. Whereas like in a group situation, no one's actually obligated. Like if 10 people came in here, no one's actually obligated to get to know me at all. Or like it's up to me whether. Do you know what I mean? It's up to.
Oh, it makes me sad. I just hate thinking that there are like people sort of in social situations and no one talks to them. I can't even. It brings me to tears. Honestly, I get sad when like kids tell me they don't have friends at school, and I get sad when people tell me that they went somewhere and no one spoke to them, and I just think it's anyway, I try and definitely go up to people who no one's talking to and just say like hi. But I just anyway, I'm definitely during my period. Okay, let me go back to my clipboard. Drink of choice.
My drink of choice, I literally love drinking so much, like huge, like kind of.
No, I know, we're so original.
Hot take, but like alcohol's really delicious.
It really is. Do you know what's delicious? Is rosé.
Rosé's delicious.
We love rosé.
Yeah.
Rosé is just so it's like the closest thing to water I've ever had.
I love tequila, love a margarita, love a tequila apple, love a tequila soda, love a tequila tonic.
Brands, please slide in.
Jose Cuervo.
Yes, please.
What's up, Kendall Jenner?
Julio.
Yeah. Love tequila. Like I enjoy gin and tonic. I just like tequila more than gin.
Do you get bad hangovers?
Have in the past. Actually haven't had like an absolutely royal one for a while, apart from after Mighty Hoopla was sick in the morning.
You were sick, but then you managed to go back the next day.
Went back
that
the next
was really
day.
impressive.
Yeah, but as I was being the act of being sick in the morning, I thought, goodness me, we haven't been here for a little while. But that used to be, when people used to would either like, do you black out when you drink?
I used to black out every time I drank, every single time.
So
it was so scary.
I don't think I've ever blacked out really. I would always be sick before
that would happen.
Time. Yeah.
Right. That was because your body knew. I think that was the thing. I've only blacked out once in the last like 5 years, and it freaked me out so much because I used to do it all the time, and it's kind of depressing thinking about how much I used to normalize blacking out, because it's like it's actually really scary not knowing how you've gotten home or not knowing a huge chunk of your night of what's happened. Like and earlier in the year I'd been out for my friend's birthday, and then I'd gotten really drunk. We'd started drinking really early. I didn't really have an appetite in that period of my life because it was like post my abortion. I just wasn't eating. And we went to somewhere else, and everybody told me I was there. And also the freakiest thing was that everybody said I didn't seem that fucked, which is more worrying. Anyway, I somehow managed to get home, and I wake up to a message from someone on Instagram being like, hey, I've just been like worrying because I saw you in the street last night, like on your own. It was just like a random person who follows me on Instagram being like, and I just was a bit concerned because like I saw you get in a cab, but I just didn't really know who you were with, and you just didn't look okay, so I just wanted to check, did you get home okay? And that was the first thing I sort of like cognitively like read when I'd woken up, and then I was like, how did I get home? And then I started thinking, where was I? It's really scary.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good thing to address, and I have addressed it. But it's the same with that, like being sick. That's why I think it's kind of nice that you would be sick instead. Yeah, it is like horrible being sick, but it's horrible, far less traumatic.
One of my worst hangovers was on that cruise ship. One Christmas Eve, we had a 6-hour free bar. In the crew bar, in the room that looks like this,
and it was like a day off.
We had a Christmas show on Christmas Day.
Wow!
So I was very, very hungover, and then like about half an hour before the show, our like resident choreographer came up to me and she was like, "Chris, do you need a shot?" Like, but it was like 6-hour free bar, and I remember being like, it was like my first Christmas away from home as well, and it was like so weird, and like we were all away from home, like in the middle of the fucking sea, and we were all like sat in somewhere.
That's my idea of hell.
I know, it was mad, and then we're like sat in a corridor, like giving each other our secret Santas, and I was so hungover, like. And then actually on my second ship, after our opening night, I like couldn't get out of bed until like 5 p.m. and my friend Patrick came around and he was like, like he brought me like a bread roll, and like, you know, when like suddenly you're like able to eat, and like the bread roll was like, it felt me like energized me, and I was like,
Jesus,
I like stood up, I like stood up, and I was like, okay, we're gonna be fine. And then had to do my show that night.
Bloody hell.
LOL.
I know. Well, I've really performed in some absolutely seriously demented states. It just shows true resilience, doesn't it? Okay, so pub or a rave?
Oh, I think more times pub, but do like a rave.
I went to a rave on Saturday with Alice
you had
and
time of your
Anna,
life.
and we were like dancing on the stage. And it was James Blake, my best friend, and he was DJing. Me and Anna and Alice were like dancing on the stage, and we were just having the absolute time of our lives. And Anna just turned to us and she went, "Guys, some people are having babies, and we're at a rave." and then the song just dropped, and she was like, and it was like, and we were like, yeah!
Oh my God.
I love raves.
I love
feel like
raves.
London's like rave culture's just dying, and I just like love them, and I felt so free and like anonymous there.
I love them. In my like kind of like where I am in my life, I'm like scared of hangovers, and I'm scared of like losing the time after, but I wish I had a bit more abandon sometimes to like go and
Just
enjoy myself.
Yeah, agree.
Sometimes I'm just like,
Agree.
you should just be enjoying yourself more.
Coming on to that, wedding or a festival? You have a.
I have a whole thing about weddings.
Yeah.
But as I'm going to Glastonbury tomorrow, festival. But weddings are fun.
Weddings are definitely can be fun.
Yeah.
But I fear the problem with weddings is that sometimes especially if you're me, you end up sort of either resenting the amount of time you're spending on watching two people be in love and money sometimes. And also you end up kind of judging the wedding, which I probably shouldn't say, but I do end up judging people's choices at weddings. And then I feel a bit of a cunt. Organised fun or going with the flow?
Going with the flow.
Yeah, you're very that. Simon Cowell or Louis Walsh?
Simon Cowell, our angel.
Our best friend, Simon Cowell, our BFFE.
Our perfect man.
Okay, and then we've got one more thing that we're going to do. So this is my finale segment, and it's called Civilian Plus One.
Okay.
So I've never been a civilian. Tyler's always been my civilian plus one, because she's been my civilian best friend since I was younger, but I was not born into a civil family. But so this is called Civilian Plus One, which is I'm going to read you some experiences that my civilian followers have had on nights out, and then you're going to decide which one you would have as your civilian plus one to a party.
Okay, perfect.
Okay? Number 1, I was arrested for joyriding a combine harvester.
Wow.
But like, where was he?
That sounds like something.
Where does one just like find a?
But that's where I grew up, kind of in the countryside.
Really?
And that's kind of like what you'd feel like some idiot, like the kind of like wackadoo person in your year at school. You'd be like, oh my God, did you hear that so and so did that? So like that's not a million miles.
Okay. This one starts with quotes, friend. So like as in quotes, my friend, but in quotes, which sounds kind of passag. Friend got stabbed with a set of house keys. Turned out they, as in the friend, were a knob though, so happy ending. So like, what damage can a set of house keys do? This is the problem. It's like, you know, when you're walking home at night and you're like scared you're about to be like kidnapped or raped.
Yeah.
And like you can hear footsteps behind you, and I like get my keys out, and I'm like, realistically, like,
what can this do?
What will my chubby little chublock key, which isn't even sharp at the end, it's completely blunt, do to like defend my life?
Your honour, yeah.
Okay. Woke up after a big night, eyes wouldn't open, had thrown up all over my face, and my sick had welded my eyelids shut. Oh.
Excuse me.
Oh my God. That is one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard in my life. I'm
quitting comedy.
I don't want you to follow me on Instagram anymore. Whoever's
What are you talking about?
Woke up.
What are you
talking?
Firstly, really sorry this happened to you. This is obviously like awful, and I hope you can see and like
Well,
you
I
did.
don't
Thank
know,
God you didn't
actually.
choke on your sick.
Yeah, that's
but
true. Swings and roundabouts.
What a fur! What a affer!
But can
are
you imagine?
joking?
Can you imagine? Right? Okay, you've woken up after a big night. Your eyes wouldn't open. You'd thrown up all over
That's
your face.
so scary as
and
well.
you're
That's
sick.
petrifying.
But can you imagine? How do you actually open your eyes? Because the sick gets bare dry. That's the thing. So it would be like.
Sounds like you know.
yeah.
I don't know. And also, Tyler, shut up.
That is cuckoo bananas. I'm
really upset about that. I'm sorry. You don't unfollow me on Instagram, but that.
That is wild. I hope that you can see.
One more. Oh, okay. One more. Somebody said, I don't have a story, but damn, your tits look good in that pic.
Say less, obviously.
You know, add that on to my monologue about how many men want to fuck me.
Yeah. Obviously, they look good in that pic. Duh.
They're good in that pic. That's why I posted it.
Yeah. Wow. So one of them's
one
my
of
favorite
those
plus
three
one.
is going to be your plus one?
I feel at the combine harvester, as I said, like I would be like, oh my God, get down from there. But like, that just like feels like, do you know what I mean? I'd be like, please, like we have to.
You'd be like there scrolling on Facebook.
Yeah, on Facebook, like, what are you doing? Must you?
Yeah.
But that just feels like not like, as I said, not a million miles from like kind of like the fools that like I might have like grown up with. But I also like kind of just want to see if that person is okay with that.
I think I would say her just so we could ask her loads of questions.
Ask her questions and like maybe like again like some of my friends aren't a million miles from that. It's not like
name
it's
and
not like
shame,
it's not like
Christopher.
it's not like too
Name
far
and shame.
out of
Grace Campbell. Grace Campbell has woken
It's
up
like
with
you-
sick
you-
on her island.
You like haven't not done that. Do you know what I mean?
No,
you haven't done that, but you
there
haven't
are
not done that.
definitely things that I've done that could be on a par.
And
with
also
that.
like I've been sick from, as I said, hoopla was like kind of like an interesting like, you know, back to my old days of being sick after alcohol. But for a while, like Chris was being sick
a lot.
Yeah, so like that's again, it never was in bed or like in a area that was like crazy, but like it could have been.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, and also I've never done that, but I used to like sometimes get up and like piss in washing baskets and stuff like that.
Oh my God,
so.
people went through a piss phase.
Yeah. I pissed in a few washing baskets, not actually in my own home, in other people's homes.
But and do you have any? Because I remember this guy, right, when we were at school, he went through a phase of just like weeing everywhere, and we'd be like, oh my God, no, stop weeing. And like one time, like we'd be like, oh, there he is, he's awake, and then he'd like go into we'd be like, are you okay? And he'd like go into a corner of the room and be like, no, he's getting his dick out and like about to just wee like on the TV. But do you have any?
No.
thought?
And by the way,
Does
I
it
just
look
have to
like
say
a
I have
toilet
not done this
in a while
since I was about 15. But I
know,
think
but
it's
like-
when I would stay at other people's houses and essentially would walk the route that in my house would have taken me to the toilet.
I don't.
So like
but
as
then
though I'm sleepwalking to the toilet in my own home, I would just go to like what looks like a basin and piss in it.
Yeah. So you do find an object that
reminds you. Yeah,
looks like
yeah.
a toilet in some form.
I once did it in a plant pot.
Everyone's done that. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
Exactly. Also, I'm sure it's somehow good for the money tree.
It's been perfect.
Pissing on the money tree. That's why I'm so rich, because I've been pissing on money trees my whole life.
Perfect.
Christopher, I love you so much.
Love
my last
you.
question for you is: what is your favourite excuse to leave a party? And you can use it now.
I've got work in the morning. I've just got work in the morning. Sorry, I've got work in the morning.
I know, because it's 5 o'clock. You've got work in the morning. Okay, well, why don't you go and get ready for work in the morning?
I've got work in the morning. I think it's just like a blanket that like no one can really be like, no.
I've started really using Eddie, my dog.
That is so
It's an amazing
good.
excuse.
No, that is perfect.
It's an amazing excuse. I just go, I'm really sorry, like I've left her at home.
Yeah.
So I have to go back.
I've got the cat. But like cats are a bit more self-sufficient, and everyone knows that it's like my sister's
Well, you
cat.
could say, oh, my cat's sick.
Yeah.
Or like,
Work in the morning.
work
I've got a
in the morning.
shoot.
I don't know. I always get really worried because I have and then we'll stop. I have such anxiety about letting people down that leaving social situations, I feel so deeply bad that I always feel I have to create like a really insane, plausible excuse. So I'll always be like, I'm so sorry. Like one of my friends is having like a massive breakdown and like I have to leave because I'm really worried about her and I like think I need to take her to hospital. And it's like, you're just at the pub. Like, you just be able to go home.
There's something a crazy, like
I don't like
disaster has happened at home.
Yeah.
If there's somewhere that I think it's also good if you're not drinking. Like if you go to somewhere that you're a bit like, I'm just not sure how tonight's going to go. Like I might be a bit, and if you're not drinking, as soon as you say, I'm going to head. If you're not drinking, people just go, got it.
Yeah. It's actually very true. That's very true.
Got it.
And driving as well.
Yeah, I'm driving. I'm driving.
That's a good one. All right, well, I'm driving, so I must leave.
Yeah, I must leave. I'm also not drinking and I'm also pregnant, so I must go.
Love you.
Love you.
Thank you so much.
Mwah.